Welcome back to episode 3 of Italian football. It's been another great weekend. Game week 23 just went by, and 15 game weeks left. Well, no shocks for the top teams. All managed wins except for Napoli, who were held to a hard fought draw by Fiorentina. So I have with me again Swarnim from Juventus India, Gautam representing Inter, and Arjun representing AS Roma. Hi guys, how you doing?
All good.
I'm good.
Good man.
So excited for the episode today,
Yes,
and
I am.
let's begin with Arjun. Arjun, let's begin with AS Roma's 3-0 win over Kievo. Pretty clinical, I must say. And seeing the game, seeing Zeko's finish, seeing El Sharawi's finish, your thoughts on the game?
Well, you said the right word, and that was clinical because I would like to say uncharacteristically clinical because Roma never are usually this clinical. So definitely a good sight to see coming into the Champions League. We started off with a goal from Stefan El Sharawi, which started with a header, a deep header from Stephen Nzonzi on the other team, on the Kievo goalkeeper's kick. So it's good for Nzonzi as well because he was coming in for a lot of stick from the fans, and he does do a lot of the dirty work in midfield that often goes unnoticed. So it was good to see him register an assist. Uh, Unfortunately, I wish our friend from AC Milan was here today because Stefan El Sharawi, eighth goal of the season. The only time he'd scored, gone into double digits was in the 2012-13 season with AC Milan, and it looks like he's going to get that today. So, uh, big fingers crossed on Stefan El Sharawi finally living up to his promise that he's shown for so many years. The second goal was an incredible solo effort from Zeko, and it makes you wonder why he has only 5 goals this season.
Mm,
Three of them coming in 2019. So definitely consistency a problem there for Edin Zeko.
mm,
The third goal also very interesting because it was scored by Alexander Kolarov, who's currently having in a feud with the Roma fans. Uh,
absolutely.
and he bowed down to the Roma fans after scoring the goal, which is still interpreted by some as a sarcastic bow and by some as an apology or just a peacemaking with the fans. If you ask me personally, I think it was Kolarov making more of a
Mm,
statement wherein I play for the team. It
yeah.
wasn't mocking the fans, but it wasn't apologizing either.
Okay.
El Sharawi and Zeko both involved in that build up as well. So going into the Champions League, definitely good to see Roma taking their chances. But defensively, the goalkeeper Antonio Mirante playing in place of Robin Olsen made one stunning point blank save,
Mm.
and definitely still a few gaps in that Roma defense, which coming up against FC Porto is not good news at all.
And you answered. You answered my next question as well on Stefan El Sharawi and the promise that he's shown. He's been touted to be one of the best, and he scored his eighth goal of the season. Well, that comes as a very good for you all in your uh, finish you for the Champions League spots. Like you are chasing the spot. And by the way, we are going to talk about the Champions League game versus Porto later in the week. But let's get our attention to our Inter fan Gautam. And Gautam, Parma kind of held a 3-3 draw last week, and it looked like it was going to be a nil-nil until Martinez popped up in the 80th minute, and that goal might have been a relief for you all because the third spot still doesn't look, you know, grasp. So, what do you your comments on the game?
I mean, the first 45 minutes were horrible. I mean, it was, as the commentators said, utter rubbish. I mean, the crosses aren't going in. I mean, it's all fine that Spalletti is putting Icardi to come back to be
Hmm.
part of the build-up, but then someone has to take his place. You can't play a sole striker, tell him to come back, and then no one takes his place up front. I mean, there's no target man up front if Icardi comes back. And then he's not having the best of seasons. I think this is one of his worst seasons ever. He's not confident in front of goal. He missed a couple of half chances, but the second 45 was good. I mean, we had a legitimately disallowed goal of De Ambrosio. It was a handball, so no complaints there. But then Vecino missed from, I
Hmm.
don't know, half a yard. I don't know how you can miss that. I mean, he missed that. And the one problem with Spalletti is that he waits so long for substitutes. You have to bring Martinez on at 60th minute or maximum at 65 minutes. You don't wait until 70, 75 minutes and then get him on. And Martinez has missed so many clear-cut chances in the previous games. And this goal wasn't an easy goal. Just cut across the defender and then shot and it went in. Now imagine if he gets up as much playing time as he wants to. If he plays every other game, if he's starting alongside Icardi, he will grow more in confidence and he will also score goals. But right now, the problem is the team has no game plan at all. If you see the first 45, they're just running around. I mean, Handanovic is just rooted to his spot half the time. Icardi is waiting for the service. He's not getting any service. D'Ambrosio, the way he crosses the ball, I think it lands in Olympic or somewhere there. It doesn't stay in the stadium. I mean, foreign shots would at least stay in the stadium, but these crosses are ridiculous. But the second half was kind of good. I mean, hopefully they can. This is the start of this season, the first goal of the year. So
yes, yeah, I was getting there. Yes, correct. And Gautam, what is Perisic's situation now that he's not being shipped off in the January transfer window? There were some questions on his commitment, and there were signs that he wanted to move away from the club. How's the situation now?
I mean, now there is no choice for him and the club as well, and Spalletti as well. He has to play Perisic because he's one of the most important players. And Perisic is a professional. He knows that when transfer window is shut, there's nothing he can do till the summer. And I think summer he's off. But then, if you remember, he did the same thing with Wolfsburg. And that's how he came to Inter. So it's deja vu for his fans.
And he was linked to Arsenal. I don't want to comment any further on that and go straight to Swarnim. Well, Swarnim, the Sassuolo game was 3 points, 3 goals scored, but there were a few moments here and there where the Juventus defense was caught out, and it could have been anything. The VAR didn't give the first few chances. One of them was by the home fans touted to be a penalty, but it wasn't. VAR ruled that out. And we also had one moment where Szczesny rushed out from the goal, and that could have gone anywhere. The shot wasn't on target. That was just a little wide from the target. So, 3-0, your thoughts on the game, especially after you all were knocked out of the Coppa Italia and then you had a draw at home to Parma?
See, what happened yesterday was we had a few bad moments, just like the one you talked about, Szczesny, and a few mistakes, especially if you remember the back pass from Rugani. But, it was a relief to see Juve playing like Juve after the initial 10-15 minutes. So it was, for me, a good win, good 3 points, good boost of confidence needed. And it looks like Martin Cáceres and Rugani still need a bit of time, playing time to their feet, because Cáceres hadn't been playing much before moving to Juve with Lazio. So I think we can give him a couple of matches as long as we keep winning them.
And clearly the injury to Bonucci and Chiellini isn't. I mean, yes, you have a team, you have squad depth, and as you said, both Rugani and Cáceres need some playing time. Well, here Chiellini and Bonucci are expected to return in mid-Feb, and Juventus play their Champions League tie again for next week. Will they be back in time for that game?
See, it's more of a question for a medical person, but I can hope they are back. By the way, Barzagli is back, so that's a relief. But to have, we are talking about Chiellini and Bonucci. They are two of the, if not the best, but two of the best defenders around. And if any team is missing players like them, it's going to be a huge loss. Again, we can hope they are back for Atletico.
Well, Arjun, let's go and cover the Napoli game. And the Napoli game was a 0-0 draw. Fiorentina, I read it was a hard-fought 0-0 draw. I missed that game, although I watched the Roma game in bits and parts and the Inter game highlights, and the Juventus game but I missed the Napoli game. Can you take the viewers to the Napoli game? They squandered a chance, right? And Juventus are now 11 points clear of the top.
Absolutely, they squandered a chance. Overall, it was more of an even game, but Napoli did have openings. There was Lorenzo Insigne in the beginning on a rebound, and there were let's say two or three chances, maybe one or two for Fiorentina as well that could have been taken. And on another night, we probably would not have seen a 0-0. Coming looking at Fiorentina as well, who've been in really good form. They beat a certain team 7-1 recently in the Coppa Italia. So it was probably the wrong time for Napoli to play Fiorentina. Maybe psychologically as well, where this is the fixture where last season where Napoli may have thought they lost the title. When Juventus were playing Inter and Napoli were to play Fiorentina. But all in all, I think 0-0 was the fair result. Although Napoli will feel that they should have edged it because they did have the clear chances. Milik at the end also had a very, I won't say an easy chance, but for a player of his level, a chance that I would expect him, or you would expect him to put it away. So all in all, a fair result. But Napoli fans will be, knowing Yogesh, definitely Napoli fans will be kicking
Yeah.
themselves a bit about this.
Well, Swarnim,
Mhm.
Ramsey just cleared his medical. He will be joining Juventus in the summer.
Uh-huh.
Constantine just tweeted it, and the deal seems to be around 400K a week, 300 to 400, something between 300 to 400K a week.
Hmm.
Fancy him to be going big, doing going big at the club.
Well, it's whenever you sign a player who is a star, I won't say the best player around, but it's kind of a gamble because the salary we are paying him is going to be one of the highest earners of the club in the club.
In the
So
league, maybe.
be a big risk. But
Hmm.
yes, I feel he's gonna be a good signing for a couple of years. I'd say 4 to 5 years. He's gonna be a good signing for us. Especially he needs he'll provide the ability to drive from the midfield to drive towards the opponent goal. That's been lacking for us since Pogba.
Hmm. Well, some comments from Ramsey from Swarnim and Gautam. Were Inter lucky in that game in the Serie A this weekend? And how far do you think they will go in the Europa? Will they crash out ASAP? Sriram's asked that, by the way.
They won't crash out ASAP, but I mean, hopefully don't crash out because end of the day, it's Pazza Inter. You never know how they're going to play. They might be lethargic, they'll be complacent, and they'll crash out, or they might go and win. You never know what's going to happen. Weekend, I would
Well,
say
yeah.
it.
Yeah, go on.
Second half was really good. So it wasn't a lucky win; it was deserved win. But the problem is, even in defense, there were so many crosses that came in. And because it was Parma, they didn't convert the chances. If it was someone like Juventus or Napoli,
Hmm.
you would have been down 2 or 3 goals in the first half itself. So the problem lies with the defense, with the tactics of Spalletti. You need proper setup so that the crosses don't come in, and you need proper attack. So and you have to be clinical. Right now in the league, apart from Juventus, I don't see any
Yeah.
other team that's more clinical in front of goal. Like Napoli dropped points because they weren't clinical. Juventus doesn't
True
do
that.
that. Inter,
Uh,
you have Icardi, but if you get Martinez on board as well, you play two of them up front. It's good. Like if you see Martinez goal, Icardi pulled
yeah.
two
Have we
defenders
lost?
with him.
Yeah. Yeah, Gautam. Can you
Yeah.
hear
So
us?
yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
So Icardi pulled two defenders with him, and
Hmm.
the through ball came from Nainggolan and Martinez scored. Now, if it was just Icardi up front, he would be
Hmm.
surrounded by 4 or 5 defenders, and he
Hmm.
isn't like 6'5" or 6'6" that he can
Hmm.
head the ball in. He's still a good header of the ball, but when you're surrounded by 4 or 5 defenders and you have no other target man, it's very tough.
Well, Gautam, I think there's some problem there on your side. Is it? Are we are losing you in between? But yeah, good thoughts on that. Good thoughts on the game. So, Sriram, I hope you've got your answer. Inter aren't crashing out ASAP, and it's a mixed feeling there. But Arjun, Atalanta are on, and Zapata seems to be in the highlight in the main talking picture there for them. Although he blanked last week, but he's got some 15 goals as I read, and he's been the one who drove their comeback this weekend. Well, still fancy them to go on and win the Coppa Italia and a top four place in the Serie A.
Right now, I don't want to fancy them for a top four place in Serie A because it'll be at the cost of Roma. But Duvan Zapata has been doing really well. In fact, it was his assist that was the first goal, and then his goal, there was a second goal in the comeback. But besides that, you also saw him against Juventus. I think one of the two goals was a really good solo effort. You've seen him score almost every kind of goal this season, which is pretty impressive. I still do think Atalanta can win the Coppa Italia simply because for this set of players, possibly, you have players like Alejandro Gomez, who've given so much of their career to Atalanta. You think for this group of players, this might be the maximum they can achieve. Whereas maybe the Lazio players look forward to uh, maybe challenging higher up in Serie A than Atalanta will, because Atalanta are now unfortunately will not probably challenge for the top four every season. While you may imagine Lazio always will. Lazio players may realistically play in the Champions League further on in their career, whether at Lazio or another club. So it looks like for this set of players, for this coach as well, who's been doing very well, it seems like it could be that one fairy tale run. So I would be backing Atalanta for the Coppa Italia with head and
What?
heart, not for Serie A, not for
Serie
top
A.
four in the Serie A.
Seeing that Roma are chasing that fourth spot, and
Between Roma,
Inter
Milan,
is
Lazio, and Inter for the 12th
Inter.
spots, not Atalanta.
So yeah, yes. Swarnim, Ronaldo's salary cap, Cristiano Ronaldo's salary at Juventus. I missed the figure. And what is the difference between Ramsey's and his salary there
See,
per week?
to be very honest, I'm a professional coach, not a professional economics guy. So if you want to talk about salaries, I'd rather look it up on the internet between the salaries for the salary difference. But when you're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, he is one of the best in the history
Yeah.
of football. And if you have a player like Cristiano, it's not about what he does on the field; it's also what he does off the field. So, given that Ronaldo has signed for Juve, it has been beneficial for Juve and for entire Serie A. So, I think it was a good deal at the end, and I hope he can fire us to the Champions League as well.
I think
And by
he's
the
right.
way,
I think there will.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
I think there
Arjun.
will be a significant difference between Ronaldo's salary and Aaron Ramsey's salary, and an even more
But
significant difference when it comes to the image rights and all the other perks that Ronaldo would be getting for his contribution to the Juventus brand on and off the field.
yeah,
Yeah. So, by the way, Swarnim, I don't know if you read this stat or no, but the last time Atlanta knocked Juventus out of the Coppa Italia was 1995, 1996. And you also won the Super Coppa that season. And guess what happened later in the Champions League for Juventus? They went on to win it.
yeah.
And this season is exactly a carbon copy of the results that happened in 90, where you say the last time, you have these things like the last time it happened, so and so thing happened later. So Cristiano Ronaldo in the team, and with your players coming back, who knows? This is an unpredictable Champions League. Well, Champions League, and aren't we keen to hear the anthem, by the way? So let's go to Arjun. And Arjun, Roma have Porto games at home, Stadio Olimpico. How do you see Roma start there? Your tactical viewpoint on the game.
Firstly, Roma will have to make do for certain absences in their team. Cengiz Under will be a very big miss. Our goalkeeper Robin Olsen is also unavailable, and star defender Kostas Manolas is touch and go till the last minute. So one good thing for Italy is you may see 7 Italian players in the starting lineup for Roma, with goalkeeper Mirante, Alessandro Florenzi, and all Italian midfield of De Rossi, Cristante, and Pellegrini. and El Shaarawy and Nicolo Zaniolo on the wings.
Zaniolo,
Uh,
yeah.
so tactically, I don't. I think it'll be a 4-3-3, but I'll leave that to the coach. I wouldn't want to comment too much on the tactics because there are so many details that we would never know about.
Hmm.
When it goes to the mentality, in all of Roma's knockout games last season in their run to the Champions League semi-finals, they played home in the second fixture. This time they'll be playing home in the first fixture.
Hmm.
Roma always managed to lose the first game and then come back and win it on away goals.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do it the other way this time. So that's definitely not a good sign. Also, FC Porto brings back bad memories because in the 2016-17 Champions League group playoffs round, just before the group stage, Roma were eliminated by Porto, which prevented Francesco Totti from playing in the Champions League in his last season. So it's that image of Francesco Totti standing on the corner flag, knowing that he won't play the Champions League again, that will haunt us forever. So I think Porto have the psychological edge. They also got 16 points in their group, which is extremely good, and they
Hmm.
are top of the table in Portugal. But then this Roma side has, under Eusebio Di Francesco, has always shown a different mentality in the Champions League than domestically. So I
Yeah.
would be very optimistic, but at the same time, a little worried.
Who can forget Peter Drury and after the Manolas goal and after the final whistle was blown in Rome and goosebumps still. So
Absolutely,
Gautam, let's go to Inter and Europa. I feel you. I feel you, bro. Inter Europa League, we won't be hearing the Champions League soon. But Rapid Wien in the Champions League, do you think Inter goes through to the round of 16? That's a question because currently you cannot predict the form they are in and what might happen since you've this, put in your thoughts on the game in the weekend. So how do you think? Will Inter approach this game? And do you think they will be looking to wrap it up in the first leg itself?
Yeah, see, on paper, Inter are the favorites. They have to go through very easily, like 5-1 on aggregate or something like that.
Hmm.
But then again, see, right now, Europe has become the must-win competition for us. We should, technically, we should have won the Coppa Italia this year. With everyone else crashing out, this
Hmm.
was the best opportunity for us to win a trophy this year.
Hmm.
But Inter being Inter, they are out. And Europa League, so now they have to take
And
some.
seriously, man, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's some problem on Gautam's side. Gautam, there's clearly some problem. I don't know, but yes. So in to wrap that up, to complete that, to have a bottom line, Inter go through. Gautam says Inter will go through, and that will be a comfortable win. Well, guys, a few questions, not on live chat, but a few questions where I need your takes on that. Arjun, Swarnim or Arjun, anyone volunteering? Is it helpful to make the league more competitive as well as reducing stress on the number of games? Swarnim, can you go with that? Like,
Sure. I think it can be beneficial for the league, but
hmm,
it can backfire on the league as well. Because when you reduce the number of games played over the season, the league instantly loses the money it makes on viewership.
hmm,
So it can be a good move, given that the quality of the Serie A teams hasn't been that great for a couple of years now. But I think in my opinion, it should be left at 20 teams league, and just work on the broadcast quality, the quality of the commentators, and just work on that. And it would be helpful to improve the quality of the referees as well.
all
Every
right.
week there is a controversy, one or the other.
absolutely.
Ah, good point there. Good point there. I was going to come to that. But Arjun, is Syria a leg behind in terms of global marketing, competing to La Liga and the English Premier League?
100%. What Italian clubs failed to do in the early 2000s is what the whole of the Premier League and to some extent Real Madrid, Barcelona managed to do. That is to market their product globally. Uh, if you see, a lot of our Italian clubs did not even have websites in any language other than Italian until very recently, as it was very difficult for the average football fan to associate with an Italian club, and it was so much easier to just follow the Premier League. The English language did play a very important role in that, but you can also see Real Madrid and Barcelona who managed to market their product worldwide. But definitely, Italian clubs do lag behind. Right now, you have Juventus with their new logo, Roma doing very well digitally. You have Inter and Milan, thanks to foreign ownership, also expanding their avenues. But you still have a team like Napoli, which otherwise would be such a marketable team,
Hmm.
which honestly doesn't do anything internationally. And you have to.
Hmm.
Right now, we have a Serie A channel on YouTube which gives us English highlights in every game, and it's a lot of fun to just catch up with the weekend's action. But these are the kind of things that have been lagging over the years, and I think we were a little too late to come to the party.
Well, true that. Gautam, Inter for Inter, Conte or Mourinho in one line.
I would say Conte.
I'd say Mourinho.
Swarnim would say Mourinho back. Mourinho versus Allegri, we would all be keen to see that battle.
Yeah.
Uh, Swarnim, do you think, and Arjun answered pretty honestly there.
Mm.
So I'm going to ask you because this is another question that is not from the chat. But can Atalanta, Lazio, and Sampdoria break into the top four in future and dominate in Europa League, just like Sevilla? Arjun did answer that in comments, but yeah.
I think if I have to choose a team that can do something in future, it's gonna be Lazio.
Hmm.
Atlanta is a team that's gonna be competing for the Europa League spots, but I don't really see them as sure short contenders to play in Europe.
Okay, fair enough.
And
Arjun, yeah, Swarnim.
with with Bologna making the new stadium, let's see what they can do.
If they don't get relegated.
Of course.
Also, since Arjun also mentioned last in the last episode that he still wouldn't want to pop the champagne for the Roma's stadium news. Also, Arjun, Cristiano Ronaldo brought in so much when he came to the Italian league, just like Neymar went to the French league, and
Right.
so some more players like that needed in the league.
Absolutely. See, for us, Juventus, I mean, as a rival on the field, Juventus will always be Juventus. And whether they bring in Cristiano Ronaldo or whether they bring in players like Douglas Costa, they are going to make their 90, 85 to 100 points every season. It's much better for all Italian clubs if the big clubs start bringing in big name players. Because if, for example, if one team does it too much, the rival teams have to do it as well. And
Hmm.
that will put pressure the the better Italian clubs to start bringing in good talent, which will eventually increase the viewership. But that is an optimistic way of looking at it. But I think in terms of capturing a global market, I think the Premier League and Spanish League and to some extent the Bundesliga have gone a little too far ahead.
Hmm.
I think the Italian clubs can get past the Bundesliga again, but I don't see the Italian clubs doing as well as the Premier League clubs or the Spanish clubs when it comes to TV viewership or global marketing, regardless of which players we bring in.
And
True
I
that.
think it also has to do with salaries. I mean, you cannot compete with PL clubs when it comes to.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, fair point, Gautam. Fair point. Swarnim, I'm going to ask you Atletico versus Juventus in the next episode because we technically have time for that.
Sure.
But before we go off, and there's another exciting fixture coming up this weekend. We don't have a Milan fan here, sadly, but Atalanta and Milan. And Arjun, Roma is chasing top four, and you have these two battle it out. A draw can always mean that you can
Right.
go above them. So, Atlanta versus Milan, your thoughts on how
Basically, it's Zapata versus Piontek, which is in Inter Milan. I predict a 2 draw, which is good for Roma. The game is in Sevilla as well. Uh, just to see both the teams drop points would definitely be good. for all of the direct competitors. But I think it will be Atalanta pushing Milan to the limit and Milan responding reasonably well because they are finding kind of form under Gennaro Gattuso. Perhaps not with the fixed tactical identity, but definitely there's more passion and enthusiasm in the players on the field.
All right. Yeah.
Atalanta are also going through a really good moment. So that is the game to watch this week. And 2-2 draw for me.
Hmm. Well, Swarnim, anything that you would like to add on the Atlanta Milan game?
Sorry, unfortunately, I couldn't hear anything what Arjun was saying.
Yeah,
There's some that.
Arjun, can you hear us? Can
I
you
can.
just say some line, please?
I can hear you guys.
I think your voice is cracky, low, and I think we could not hear you there in the last.
Now
Yeah,
is
now,
it
yeah,
It's better.
okay?
better. Yeah. So let's go back to Atlanta Milan. Sorry for the trouble, guys. There's some
Sorry.
technical, but these are live streaming glitch uh, issues, and we technically can't do anything
Right.
but to make sure that we repeat it. So Atlanta Milan, by the way. Yeah.
You're going
Yes.
Swarnim or me?
Yeah. You, Arjun. You
Okay.
are.
So I said it basically will be. It seems like it'll be Christoph Piontek versus Christian Zapata.
Hmm.
The two most probably in form number nines in Serie A.
Hmm.
Yes, Ronaldo is in better form, but I wouldn't yet call him a pure number nine. He does a little more than that. So between Piontek and Zapata, I think it's going to be a 2-all draw with each of them scoring 2 goals. It would be a good result for everyone else in the Champions League race if both teams were to drop points. But I think it'll be Atalanta pushing Milan all the way. Both teams are going through a good moment. So I think a 2-2 draw would be a fair result for everyone and a good result for everyone on the table.
Yeah, and now Swarnim and Gautam, both of you can add. Swarnim, let's go to you.
Well, I kind of agree with what Arjun said. It's gonna be a good game with between two of the most informed number nines in Serie A. But I think it's gonna be Atalanta who's gonna win 3-2 for me, given
Hmm.
they are in, and given the tendency of Milan to just crack under pressure.
I hope
Yeah.
you're right.
Atlanta, Roma, Lazio, all tied at 38. It cannot get more interesting than that. A Juventus fan enjoying his lead at the top, 11 points of Gautam. Interface Sampdoria that you're expecting, or dropping points, or you think 3 points in the bag this time? Again.
I am guessing we'll nick it. I think it might be 2-1 to Inter.
Hmm.
Now that we have scored the first goal, I think the pressure's off and we will actually score goals now.
Okay. So fair enough, guys. Fair enough. We have spoken about game week 23. We are 15 game weeks away from the conclusion. Although I always say Juventus lifting that title, but the spots below that, especially 3, 4, 5, 6, are pretty much up for grabs. Especially, let's see who gets into the top four, the third and the fourth spot. Arjun seems pretty optimistic. We are
I think it will be
yeah,
Milan and Roma.
Milan and Roma. And guys, before we just sign off, yeah, one question I had: your Piatek and Paqueta's impact on Milan. How have the duo changed? So how can they be instrumental in getting Milan into that Champions League spot?
I felt it firsthand last weekend when Paqueta assisted Piontek's goal against Roma. So definitely those two do add something that has been missing in the Milan team throughout the season. But whether they do have a long-term impact or not still remains to be seen because let's not forget that Italy is a very tactical league and this is a new, let's say a new Milan after the January transfer window for the first few weeks. But whether they can keep the other teams guessing and whether they have that creative edge for the rest of the season or not is to be seen.
Okay, true that. Before we go, Gautam, do you think Icardi will leave this at the end of the season? And he seems to be offbeat. Can Lautaro, replace him?
I don't think he can replace Icardi. I don't think anyone can actually replace Icardi at Inter right now. And I don't think he will leave this summer. I think Perisic will leave this summer, hopefully replaced by Ozil. It might be a swap, but apart from that, I don't see anyone leaving. I think Kandreva should leave, and Karamo should come in. But apart from that, no. But Spalletti should change his tactics and get Martinez to play with Icardi next season.
If you don't mind, can I ask Gautam one question?
Yeah, sure. Please go on.
See, normally Roma end up selling all their players, and when we sold Nainggolan, it was a massive disappointment. We got some money, we got Santon, but now Zaniolo is starting to show real promise. So just wanted to know your thoughts on the Nainggolan for 24 million plus Zaniolo plus Santon. Do you think it was worth it? Or in hindsight, would you have preferred Inter keeping Zaniolo? Because in the beginning, I absolutely hated the deal because Nainggolan was one of our favorite players. But as the season is progressing, seeing how Nainggolan has improved in performance and how Zaniolo has done well, just wanted to understand thoughts from the other side.
I wouldn't have sold Zaniolo for Nainggolan at all. But the thing with Inter is we don't trust our youngsters. We don't give them opportunities. I mean, Zaniolo should have been there. I think Santon plus 24 million would have been a fair deal for Nainggolan. But Zaniolo, no way. I hope he was staying at Inter.
Swarnim,
Yes.
before we go, I hope Paolo Rossi watches this episode again. And I hope we can. I can someday get Totti De Rossi here with Arjun.
Sure.
So much, and I think, and I'm very sure Sriram is going to comment something on live chat soon. But guys, again, thank you so much for your time and 3 episodes for Italian football here on the Panenka View, and the Champions League weeks and the Europa League coming up. The things are just getting spicier. We have Atletico Juventus next week, Swarnim. So I'm going to ask you a few questions: tactics, teams, selections, predictions. Before we go. Prediction for tomorrow's game, Roma versus Porto.
Okay, I'm going to be very adventurous here and say Roma to win 3-0 tomorrow and then lose the next leg 2-0 and go through by the usual 1 goal.
Swarnim.
I kind of agree.
Okay.
Gautam. 2-0 and 1-0 more.
2-0 and 1-0. Gautam.
I would say 3-1 to Roma and 2-1 to Roma. So 5-2 on aggregate to Roma.
Also,
I like this guy already.
So thank you so much once again for joining us. Hope we can have the Milan guys next time. And clearly there's so much to talk. Third, 3, 4, 5, 6 still up for grabs. So much. So realistically, with 3 teams tied on 38 and with so much happening in the Italian league. Thank you guys. And also to our viewers, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. This is a weekly show now on the Panenka View, and Swarnim already regulars. Gautam is also in for the second time in 3 episodes. So it's been a pleasure, guys, once again. And here's your host Prasad signing out with Arjun, Swarnim, and Gautam.
Ciao, man.